Hey gamers! If you're looking for some awesome side-scrolling action roguelike games, then you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 20 best side-scrolling roguelike games 2024 edition. And if you've already played Dead Cells, then trust me, these games will feel super familiar to you. But before we dive into the list, let's take a quick break for a sponsor. If you want to buy games with great discount, then our sponsor is what you need. And that's at Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming, it's my favorite website to buy games. Besides, you will get amazing discounts. You can also get giveaways here. I mean, look at this games. Do you believe you will get this amazing discount from another place? In Instant Gaming, you can buy for various platforms from PC, PS5, Xbox, and also Nintendo Switch. So what are you waiting for? Go check out your favorite games with the link in the description below and start save your money to buy games with Instant Gaming. By clicking my link, you'll not only save your money, but also support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Koboo the Tree Spirit. This game has a roguelike vibe mixed with a boss rush and Souls-like elements. But don't worry, it's just challenging. In this game, you play as the last spirit living in a magical forest that was once full of life. But then humans came, started cutting down trees, and ruined the forest for their technology. Your job is to protect your forest with the help of the remaining animal guardians. The roguelike gameplay is really exciting. You can upgrade your weapon damage, add new skills, and get relics that give you cool passive effects. Plus, you can plant seeds to harvest extra resources. The boss fights are fun, with each boss having unique mechanics that make you think before you attack. Oh, and they can call for help when their health gets low, so you need to plan your strategy to avoid getting overwhelmed. Soulbind Tales of the Underworld is an incredibly addictive 2D roguelike platformer. This game is a roguelike adventure that combines classic hack-and-slash action with a unique customization system. You start your journey as a skeleton drifting down the river Styx, with no memory of who you are. Along the way, you have to battle enemies like rats, undead, and even liches. The hack-and-slash gameplay is solid, and the customization mechanics let you improve your abilities with the parts you collect. You can try out different attack combinations, which keeps things interesting. For example, you can upgrade your hands for more damage or your legs for faster movement. All these options make each run feel fresh and exciting. Seventh Domain Tree of Chaos is side-scroller action game that mixes roguelike and Metroidvania elements with treasure-grinding gameplay. You play as a child of destiny, tasked with repairing the world and uncovering the truth behind its broken state. As you battle through enemies, you'll grow stronger and face off against hidden, unknown forces. The game is developed by a small indie team, and despite facing many challenges, they remain passionate about bringing this project to life. It also brings a heavy sense of nostalgia, reminding you of the Sword and Magic era, as well as games like Dead Cells. Absolutely. Fury Unleashed isn't just another run-and-gun game with a retro vibe, so don't be fooled. I thought it was at first, but once I played it for a while, I got totally hooked. This game isn't just about the action. There's a deeper story that really makes you feel connected. It's more than what you'd expect. The gameplay is super fun too. You can string together combo kills, which ramps up the metal music, making it louder and more intense. The longer your combo, the more rewards you get, like orbs that give you extra health or currency to upgrade your abilities. And trust me, you'll need those upgrades because this game is tough. There's permadeath, so if you die, you have to start over. But honestly, that's what makes it so exciting. Nightmare the Lunatic is a super solid action roguelike game. The gameplay is smooth, and the pixel art is beautiful. The controls are really responsive too. If you enjoy games like Scourgebringer or Dead Cells, you definitely need to check this out. Every time you switch weapons, you get a boost, and your energy for special attacks refills. but there's a special stamina for swapping weapons, so you have to be strategic about it. The gameplay is exciting, with plenty of upgrades to unlock, but only about 8 show up each run. This makes you think, should you take this upgrade now, or wait for something better next run? The fun really lies in making these choices. Madshot is a super fun roguelike game. It's not just about shooting. You've got to use cool moves like rolls, backflips, and other badass maneuvers to make things even more epic. What makes it even more exciting is that each level is randomly generated, so it never gets boring. The enemies vary too. Some are really easy, while others are insanely tough. As for replayability, this game really teaches you to never give up. Every time you die, you learn something new and come back stronger. Even though you'll fail a lot, that's what keeps you hooked and coming back for more. And if you're into speedrunning, this game is a great challenge. The sound design and music also fit perfectly to build the atmosphere. Normally, I mute the music in most games, but in Madshot, I actually keep it on. It really pulls you deeper into the game world. Rising Hell is an indie roguelike game developed by Tahoe Games, set in a fiery hellscape where players control a rock, a warrior wielding the Hellsbane weapon to battle demons. The game uses a pixel art style that effectively captures the hellish atmosphere, with various threats like monsters, traps, and fire. The game features intense boss fights and mini-bosses that demand careful timing and strategy rather than quick reflexes. Rising Hell also includes a gauntlet mode for additional challenges, such as time attack or survival waves. The soundtrack, filled with chiptune metal, complements the high adrenaline action. The game's design balances fast-paced action with strategic depth, offering a fresh take on the roguelike genre. Astral Ascent is a roguelite where you play as an assassin with no memory, trapped in a strange floating prison in the sky. The story unravels as you discover why you're there, who you really are, and explore different rooms filled with bizarre creatures. You'll also face off against the terrifying Zodiac Guardians. The combat system is pretty straightforward. You attack enemies with physical strikes to charge your mana, then cast spells once they're ready. The key is to keep moving, attacking, and maintaining your distance so you can unleash stronger spells. Like most roguelites, death is inevitable, but it's all part of the journey. Each time you die, you'll start over, but don't worry. Over time, you'll get the hang of it, and death will feel less like a setback. Blade Assault is a blast, especially if you're into hack and slash and roguelike games. If you've played something like Hades or Dead Cells, you'll instantly get the vibe. In this game, you play as Clay, a young guy who escapes from prison, steals a sword, and is out for revenge against a megacorporation that rules the world. The core of the game is simple: push forward, smash enemies, level up, and repeat. Each stage has you fighting off all kinds of enemies, from weapon-wielding rat people to frogs carrying huge hammers. What's cool is the variety of weapons you can use, like a samurai sword, chainsaw, or even a cannon for ranged attacks. Plus, you can unleash special moves that wipe out tons of enemies at once, but you've got to wait for your energy bar to fill up before you can go all out. If you're into games like Dead Cells, Oblivion Override is definitely going to hype you up. Both share that same vibe, blending Metroidvania elements with a roguelike twist. The story is pretty awesome too. It's about a resistance group fighting evil forces after humanity's near extinction. What makes it cool is the AI mechanic that resets itself every time you die. So instead of getting frustrated, every game over feels like a part of the world building. And the bosses? Every biome has its own, and the battles are brutal, with epic music to match. Plus, the lore you uncover during these fights makes the game even more immersive. Sure, over time and with the right upgrades, the boss fights might feel a little easier, but that first time you beat them, you'll be hooked, trust me. 30XX is a roguelike game heavily inspired by Mega Man, and honestly, I think it's way cooler than its prequel, 20XX. Developed by Battery Staple Games. If you've played 20XX before, you'll immediately notice the huge improvements in 30XX. Now, talking about gameplay, there are 8 levels, each with its own boss that's a blast to fight. The further you get, the tougher the enemies and bosses get. If you're feeling extra bold, there's an even harder mode that will seriously test your skills. It can be frustrating, but in a fun way. Plus, there are vagrants, which are like mini-bosses scattered across certain areas. If you manage to take them down, you'll score some awesome special gear. For those who love roguelike games or parkour challenges, the Rogue Prince of Persia is pretty fun to try out. The combat is intense and exciting. The game doesn't just focus on parkour, but also on fighting. You need to be smart about defeating enemies using various weapons. Some enemies use shields, others are super agile, and each fight requires you to think tactically. However, don't try to fight every enemy. Saving your health is key. If you go all out and fight everyone, you might regret it when you get caught in a trap or face a tough enemy ahead. As for the story, the idea is cool. The prince is cursed to keep repeating time because of a magical orb, but the plot is still a bit thin. The gameplay is solid, and the visuals are great, but the early access version still feels a bit empty. It's worth it if you want to see the game develop, but if you're not patient, it might be better to wait for a big update. Have a Nice Death feels like you're the ultimate boss in the afterlife. You play as Death himself, tasked with fixing the chaos in an afterlife company that's totally out of control. The combat is what makes you feel like a total badass. It's a side-scrolling roguelike, and the combos are fast, satisfying, and there are tons of different styles to try out. You start with a scythe, but you can upgrade to an overpowered hammer, magic spells, and even summon a ravenous crow to attack enemies. When it comes to movement, Death is super agile. There's dashing, jumping, and ultimate frenzy moves to really get you into the action. But when you face off against bosses like Thanagers or Sorrows, you'll understand what hard really means. These bosses are unforgiving, and you'll need to memorize their attack patterns because one mistake could mean your end. Noita is a crazy and challenging roguelike game where you play as a wizard in a world made entirely of pixels, and you can do pretty much anything. The game is famous for its super realistic physics system, where everything in the world can interact with each other. For example, you can set things on fire, explode water, or even cause massive explosions with spells. Every time you die, you start over, and the game world is always different. You can craft wands with spells you find, experiment, and see how things work. But don't expect any hand-holding because the game doesn't give you much info. Everything is a mystery, and the only way to figure things out is to keep trying and learning. So if you're into unpredictable challenges and love experimenting, Noita is definitely the game for you. Risk of Rain Returns is such a fun game where you have to survive on an alien planet by collecting power-ups and battling enemies that get stronger over time. The game goes back to a 2D style, after the previous version was in 3D, and of course, a lot of people were wondering how it would turn out. In this game, you play as a character stranded on an alien planet. The objective is to survive and reach a teleporter that will take you to the next level. But be careful, the enemies get more difficult the further you go. Overall, though, it's still the same game at its core. Even though the action roguelike genre has evolved a lot, Risk of Rain Returns still feels like a classic, reminding us of the great memories we had with the first game. Spiritfall is easily one of the coolest games of 2024. It's this awesome mashup of platform fighting and roguelite action. Think Smash Brothers meets Hades. That's the vibe. You play as the Omen Forged, and your mission is to cleanse the world from corruption caused by something called the Brink. Your journey takes you through 5 unique realms, from deadly forests to freezing ice caves. The enemies are super creative too. You'll face plant ninjas, living rocks, and a whole lot more. You've got 5 weapons to choose from, each with alternate versions. If you're into fast-paced combat, go for the gauntlets or link blades. Each weapon has a unique playstyle. The gauntlets and alternate link blades are perfect for quick combos, while the dual hammer and scythe are all about heavy, powerful attacks. Every weapon feels distinct, and honestly, you've got to try this game. It's an absolute blast. Rogue Legacy 2 is a big upgrade from the 2013 classic. The original helped start the roguelite genre, where you don't lose all your progress when you die. Instead, you can use upgrades to make future runs easier. The gameplay is still familiar. You play as a random hero with unique traits, explore a huge, ever-changing castle, collect loot, and fight bosses. This time, the classes are way more unique. Each one has its own weapon, skills, and stats. For example, the Barbarian uses a slow but super strong axe with a spinning attack for big damage. There are 14 classes, each with a totally different feel. With fun combat, lots of upgrades, and an exciting post-game. Rogue Legacy 2 isn't just a sequel, it's one of the best roguelites out there. Neon Abyss is a stylish, chaotic, and unpredictable roguelike game. If you're into roguelikes with crazy item synergies, stunning visuals, and the sheer satisfaction of destroying everything in sight, this game is perfect for you. When it comes to gameplay, Neon Abyss really shines. The item and weapon modifications are absolutely wild. Every item you pick up impacts your character or weapons, whether it's boosting your speed, increasing damage, or turning your bullets into crazy shapes. Some runs will make you feel insanely overpowered thanks to the perfect combination of items. But that's exactly what the developers intended, to give you those moments of pure satisfaction. Of course, not every run is going to be perfect. Sometimes your build will feel pretty average, but that just makes it even more rewarding when you hit that godlike setup in your next run. Skul the Hero Slayer is a roguelike action side-scroller that's super addictive, but there are definitely some parts that will test your patience, especially towards the end of the game. The game is all about combat and character progression. Each time you play, you'll get upgrades that help make your character stronger. There's a variety of skulls to choose from, like a werewolf for fast attacks, or a genie who can unleash magic while swinging a big sword. These different skulls make each run feel fresh and exciting. Your choice of skulls directly impacts how strong you are on your journey. There are also tough bosses with complex attack patterns, so you'll need to learn their moves if you want to win. With fast-paced combat, a ton of skulls and relics to choose from, and a story that keeps you hooked, this game is definitely worth trying, especially if you're into roguelike challenges. Blazblue Entropy Effect is such a cool roguelike game, full of style and fast-paced action. It's not just for longtime Blazblue fans, but also for anyone who enjoys exciting gameplay that you can play for hours. The story puts you in the shoes of a little robot who can transform into Blazblue characters. The main focus is on these robots whose job is to rebuild memories and fight entropy. So, if you're expecting the deep storylines that Blazblue usually offers, you might be a bit disappointed. Even though the story isn't the main highlight, the gameplay is awesome. You can unlock tons of Blazblue characters like Ragna, Noel, Jean, and Takaka. I won't go too deep into the details because honestly, this game is one you should just dive into and experience for yourself. You'll get to feel how fun and exciting it really is. And that's it for today. What do you think about this list? If you know of any roguelike side-scroller games like Dead Cells that should be on this list, let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, and make sure you subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss another amazing game list. And as always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.